It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Before we get started, we want to help you save some money.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to use our promo codes to save that money. And let's start off with buckbaits.com. That's right, the brick and mortar store of Buck Baits down at Sterling Heights, Michigan at 15 and Dodge Park. Go over there. If you're on the website, buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20. That will get you 20% off your order.
For those of you who are looking for Easy Cut products, make sure you go to easycutproducts.com. And when you're there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ15 off to save 15% off your order.
And let's not forget Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com. It's never too early, never too late to think about the Packer Max. Go on over to packermax.com, use the promo code UNJ25. That'll get you $25 off your order over at Packer Max Outdoors.
For those of you looking for some new firearms and firearm products, make sure you go over to the islandarmory.com. While you're there shopping, use the promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order there.
If you shot that bird of a lifetime and you want it mounted, don't forget Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. We've had them live on the show. We've talked to them. You want to get 10% off your order, go to Facebook, go to troublesome.creek.7, find their website. If you go to our website, UNJ, make sure to click on the button to download the form. You get 10% off over there using the code UNJ10.
Looking for that game call, whether it be a squirrel, whether it be goose, duck, deer, make sure you go to JPO Game Calls. Look for them at jpogamecalls.com, and while you're there shopping, use the UNJ10 promo code to save 10% off your order.
And Miller Deer Tracking, the man that seems to never sleep during deer season. Get 20% off your next deer tracking using the promo code UNJ20. Look for Miller Deer Tracking on Facebook or give him a call over at 810-240-4891.
Looking for the hottest new plastics to take on the water, whether it be hard water or soft water? Make sure you go over to southernindianabaitco.com. While there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order.
Deer Camp Coffee, folks. We drink it every night on the show. You want to try it? You can go to the brick and mortar store at 15 and Dodge Park at Deer Camp itself, or go to deercampcoffee.com. Also use our promo code UNJ10. You get 10% off your order. And don't forget, get a bag of the UNJ medium roast blend there as well.
All right, Danny, where's our live view camera look from tonight?
There you go, folks. We found some snow in Michigan. If you're in southern Michigan, we don't have any snow around here, but 3 miles north of Gaylord on trail number 7, it's snowing, and it's 31 degrees.
Yeah, there's not a lot of snow on the ground right there, I can tell you that. That's a snowmobile trail right there, folks.
That is, yes. Trail number 7, 3 miles north of downtown Gaylord.
Temperature?
And 31 degrees, so it's perfect snow. We haven't seen a sled go by yet. Probably not going to, but we would like to see a critter.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some kind of critter walk by there.
Right?
Stand there and look at the camera. So instead of that critter looking at the camera, here we are.
We're going to look at the camera. Right?
So to speak. So what do you know? Here we are. Back for another week of Up North Journal. And I got Danny back here in the passenger seat next to me. So back from a trip down to ATA, and we'll be talking about that tonight. So
it was exciting. Show. It was good. It was fun. It was pretty warm.
Yeah. Temperature was?
It was.
Or the atmosphere?
Everything.
Okay.
It was awesome. It was a good show. The weather was decent. It was warm. We had a little bit of rain the one morning walking to the convention center. It got a little colder, but not what we've ever endured before.
Well, you say we, so who's this we? You might as well go ahead and get our guest in here.
Let's get him on, because it was his first time ever going to the ATA convention in Indy, which he's only an hour away from, so it was real easy for him to get to. But Mark Coleman, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good, man. Thanks for joining us tonight. So you're all refreshed back from your trip. You've had a week to think about it, get it all processed, and talk about it tonight. So I'm glad you got to go in my place. I couldn't make it down this year, so I'm glad that you got to experience it. So overall, just in a couple words, what'd you think?
Absolutely phenomenal. I had always pictured what it would be like, and mind was blown. Just it's a different atmosphere than your normal trade shows. And that's probably the biggest takeaway was it was about connections and relationship building.
Okay. Well, I know you're familiar with the down there in Indianapolis. You guys have the Indiana Deer and Turkey Show, and that's coming up. What is that? February, Marchish usually.
February 23rd through the 26th. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same weekend as Outdoorama is up here.
So we'll be at ours, and he'll be at that one.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So looking at that show. And for people who don't know, that one's got hunting, it's got fishing, it's got camping. There's probably something else I'm missing out of that. But, I mean, it's like 5 big arenas. So if you take out the camping and you take out the fishing, for the hunting side compared to what you saw down there, I mean, to me, there's no comparison, even though that is a great show. And what do you going in down there? Are you thinking, this is going to be a little bit bigger than the Indiana show? I mean, what were your thoughts when you get in there?
This is on my bucket list, so I was always seeing pictures or small clips of video of the ATAs over the year and just, picturing in my mind what it would look like and then actually getting there. And I think I just sometimes over dramatize how big it was until I walked in and we're walking 5 minutes just to get to the other side to come in a different door. Mm-hmm. It just was huge. I mean, kid in the candy store, eyes great big. Every time you turned a corner, there was something different. And I don't know, I would compare based on just the hunting alone, just the Deer Turkey Expo part of it, mm-hmm. or the regular trade show. This, I would say, was probably 5 or 6 times bigger than that section of just the Indianapolis trade show.
Okay.
And yeah, I was just, I don't know, crazy how big it was. Fortunately, I had a seasoned veteran showing me around, so I didn't get too turned around. I might have gotten turned around once when Danny left on Friday and I had to ask someone. But for the most part, it just is crazy how much stuff there is in the archery environment.
Yeah. And he said it best the very first morning we were walking in. He goes, you know what to expect around every corner. Mm-hmm. He goes, I'm like looking around every corner going, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
I said, well, enjoy it because, we got in on Wednesday afternoon, probably about 5-6 o'clock. We were only a few minutes apart from each other when we got to the hotel together. And from there, the first night used to be the Out Tech party.
Right.
I'm not sure if they had one on Tuesday. I don't know. But they had what Mossy Oak sponsored called Connection. Mm-hmm. And you would go over there and make connections, obviously. And they had free food, free beverages. They had some awards, and they had a country singer gave a concert.
Okay.
That was our first order of business, was getting our passes. And if you remember they had that Wednesday morning, the FAA computers went down, the flight computers.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So everybody's getting in later.
So we got there Wednesday night to get our passes, which was just scanning our QR codes. Yeah. But he asked us, he goes, did you guys fly in? We're like, no. But Mark's got a story of Denise from Raised Outdoors, Raised at Full Draw, about her little escapade of getting to the connections at where we were.
Yeah, so Denise is the chief operating officer for Raised at Full Draw, the nonprofit for youth camps for archery. She lives in Iowa, and it would have been an 8.5 hour drive, but she decided to fly, and what should have been only about a 3-hour flight ended up 17 hours to get to Indianapolis from Iowa. Yeah, she made it to the connections a little bit late, but you could tell she was ready to call it a day.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories from people that were trying to get out on
and literally
some of those flights.
Everybody who was coming in on Wednesday that's the way they were coming in. And it was like Mark and I drove and we got there, so we headed over to the connections. We had to walk all the way halfway across the building, but we found it, and none other did we find but Denny Steiner himself.
The man, the myth, the legend?
Of course he yelled at me.
Uh-huh.
Why aren't you in line already?
He's saving him a spot.
Well, right?
Yeah,
and I said, well, Denny, you can just walk up and tell him who you are and the crowds will part.
Yeah, like the Red Sea.
Right.
Yeah.
And not so much, but, it was really good to see Denny. Mark's got a shout-out for you, Denny.
Yeah, Denny, I hope you're on tonight. If not, you'll watch this later. But happy anniversary, 54 years. That's phenomenal.
That's quite a testament, It's 54 years at anything is quite phenomenal.
I haven't even lived 54 years yet.
Oh, stop. I don't even want to hear that. We're not going to go there tonight.
Right? So we got in line with Denny. He sat with us the whole night. We grabbed the table. As you can see from the picture, it started filling up pretty quick. Obviously, with the free food and beverage, where everybody, you dove for a table.
Right.
Got a spot.
Get in line, get your food before it's all
then
gone.
Then it was like, go, break.
Yeah.
Some went and got drinks, some went and got food.
Yeah.
So we started off the night there.
Yeah, the early parties I always enjoyed, It was always a good time. You get to see a few friends. Casual, sit back, laid back. Have a few adult beverages possibly, and just take it easy.
Right, exactly. And Dean Elliott joined us at the table, and you remember Dean from Gut Check.
Yep.
So he joined us at the table, had good conversations with him. Mark, how did you feel about making some connections with all the people that were there?
It was a little overwhelming at first when you go into connections because it is just a crowd of people. And like you mentioned, the two biggest things, actually three biggest things. One, get a table. Two, find beverages, find refreshments, get some food. And then you can kind of settle in a little bit. Then once you've been established for a few minutes and you've got a little bit to eat, just looking around the room and identifying somebody maybe you're familiar with or not, going over to their table, introducing yourself. I saw a lot of people there at connections that I recognized that I had never really spoken to person. So I thought it was really kind of nice. Even standing in line to get a beverage, you would run into somebody and, they'd read your badge, you'd read theirs real quick, and then you start introducing yourself. So it was really nice.
Yeah, that's one thing about ATA. It's so laid back and casual compared to the open public shows. Whether you be a media, whether you be a buyer, a vendor, or even some of the celebrities, it's a really casual, laid back atmosphere that I really love.
Absolutely, and I told Mark about that. I said you're going to see the celebrities here. Yeah. You're going to see all those people, but you're going to see them a little differently because you're going to see them relaxed.
Yeah, they're a little more at ease.
Right, because if they're at the Indiana show, everybody's crowding around them to see them and say hi. Like here, the concert was going, the lights were down a little bit lower, but we were still chatting, of course, with Denny and Alan. Dean was there. Kip Adams was there. Went and talked to him a little bit. But just making all those connections again, and it's been a few years.
Yeah, it has due to COVID.
Yeah, for a lot of us, getting back, it was really, really nice to get back. That was a great event for our start.
Sure. Well, the first year, 2020, they canceled because of COVID. Or no, wait, 2019. We went that year. That was January 2020, and right after that, COVID hit. So 2021 was canceled. 2022, there was a lot of restrictions, and we decided not to go. And then this year, I wasn't able to go. So I've missed 3. And so next year, and I heard next year's going to be in St. Louis. So that's a complete new venue for me, and I'm looking forward to getting down there to that.
It's new for everyone.
Yeah.
Word on the street, interesting.
Trying to bring people from the West Coast, maybe the Southwest.
There's a whole bunch of theories, right? I talked to Tony a little bit. Well, I texted him while I was there, talked with him, met up with him, seen how he was doing, got his take on the show. But it was going good. It was just nice to get that feel. Getting Mark in there for the first time, getting him, here's our kind of our home is going to be the PSE booth.
Yeah. And
where we go from here, we'll attack because there's the 2 separate buildings, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, that first night we got over to Connections, listened to a great concert, and then we just kind of went venturing after that.
Well, before we move into what was going on there on the show floor and everything, I want to give a big shout out to PSE Archery, who is on with us again for another season, and we want to thank them for what they do and letting us be a part of them. So, speaking of, we got some new gear that was passed around and got to be able to look at and shoot. Yeah,
I got to shoot. So Wednesday, when we weren't allowed in the show, PSE unveiled 2 new boats.
Okay.
Out of the Dudley line, they came up and are coming out with what they're calling the Unite.
Okay.
And then the other bow, going away from the typical naming convention of PSE, they are coming out with the Fortis 30 and Fortis 33.
Okay.
So
and we're going to run down these bows here a little bit later, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those were the big unveilings on Wednesday. And literally, when we walked in on Thursday morning, that was the most packed booth and shooting lane.
Okay. Everybody's checking them out.
Mark walked in, and right, Mark? That was the 2 busiest.
Yeah, you couldn't walk down the aisle in front of the shooting lanes. It was just packed.
So, I tell you what, with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's take our first break before we jump into this. And we'll step outside, take our first break, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. Talking 2023 ATA Indianapolis. And we kind of got the lowdown first night you guys there, did the connections thing. You hit the show floor running, eyes wide open. And we got some new bows from PSE.
Right. We walked in. And Mark, what was your impression of the PSE booth when we walked in?
It was bigger than most of the booths there, but I know that probably was small compared to what it used to be, because I hear this talk about a semi-trailer that used to be there. But they had a corner, and that booth was just crawling with people. And they had so many bows to look at. It wasn't like, 5 or 6 bows and everyone was trying to get to a bow. There was, dozens of bows there to look at. And representatives from PSE were there to help you and guide you. Just a great group of people just hanging out right there, just helping. The great thing I thought was when a person walked up and they were curious about a bow, they helped get them from curiosity to shooting it. Mm-hmm. And they would set the bow up for them, give them just exactly what they needed to be able to get confident and satisfy that curiosity. And I think a lot of them walked away from there going, wow, that's there's something different about a PSE bow.
Well, and the thing about it is like they're not there to shoot one and buy it, take it home and take it hunting. These are archery shop owners. They're looking for what they're going to put in their shop. And, they want to be able to talk to the customer when they come into the shop and say, yeah, I shot this bow. This is what it feels like. This is what I liked about it. These are the features of it. They get familiar with the product in their hand, spend some time there with it. So I think that's really important that, your shop owners get that time with the manufacturers and understanding what they're getting in their hands to put into our hands later on, and try to sell those things. So, Danny, you calling up the lineup there?
Yeah, we're going to start off with the, obviously, the Knock-On Nation. Pleased to get the Unite in the 3 different cams, the E2, the EC2, and the S2 cam. The bow itself is coming in at 32 1/4 axle to axle. So it's right in that mid range. It's not long. It's not a super short, right?
So they're offering one size.
Yep.
In the Unite.
One size in the Unite. And we went over this bow with Rob, and it's a real nice shooting bow. I shot this one. I shot all 3. I shot the Unite, the Fortis, and I did shoot the Omen. We're calling it the Omen 2.0 because they did some upgrades to it. Anybody that ever shot an Omen out there for PSE, it is not what you think it is anymore. Totally different.
Well, you and I were talking on the phone about it, and you said, no, this is not your father's Omen.
No, no, literally, this is not your father's Omen.
I remember the first time I shot that bow, and it was wicked fast, but you had to be ready for it. It had a real short, super short valley in that thing.
Right, and the under the 3 Unites, what they're going with is anywhere from 332 to 343, depending on what cam you have.
Okay.
So, again, people, you listen to us talk about PSE. Obviously, they're sponsors of the show, but to prove it, you got to go shoot them.
And this riser on this is.
This one is an aluminum.
Okay.
And it looks like we're about 6.5 for a brace height.
Okay.
So 6 1/4, 6.5, 6 5/8, depending on which bow, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So comes in obviously Knock-On green, and there's a bunch of new items they got for the bow this year. Like they've got this new system called the FDS, or the Full Draw Stability System. They've got the new spacer system. Oh my gosh!
So you saw this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I heard a little bit about this from a video from the show. I remember the Evolve series when we would shim the cam.
Yep.
Left or right. Mm-hmm. And to get the tear out of the paper when you're paper tuning. With that being said, this is not your typical shim. You don't have to put it on the boat press.
You put it on the boat press
and take it, but you don't have to take it all apart.
You don't have to knock out the cam, grab a shim from the right, move it over to the left. You put it in the bow press, you press the bow a little bit, and you take a tool, kind of like an Allen wrench.
Okay.
You basically go in there and you pull the shim out.
Okay.
And you go, okay, which side? Go over here and push it back in.
Okay.
You literally just pull the shim, push the cam.
So I imagine there's different size shims that are in there in that set, and you're just moving what you need to move it.
Right.
How far you need to move it one way or the other.
Yep.
Gotcha.
It is so easy. It's amazing.
So you're not taking the bow apart. It's in the press, but it's just decompressed a little bit.
To loosen it up so you can pull the shim and move the cam and put it on the other side.
Gotcha.
With a tool and a bow press, and it's literally like...
seconds.
If it's a minute... Maybe by the time you get it, all done.
Take it back out, go out to range, shoot it, see if you need to shim a little more or not.
Right, exactly. Gotcha. So they've added some other features, like they've got a Picatinny sight rail on the front of the bow.
That's on that picture where we were
showing. Right here, up on front, they got the Picatinny rail system. Mm-hmm. They now have the holes drilled if you're going to use a hamski or an integrated rest and mount. They have those. So they've added some features and some likes, and it's just...
some of Dudley's likes on the bow.
Absolutely.
Some of his little tweaks.
Right? So that was the Unite. Shot great. Pretty dead in the hand. It was that new FDS system. I really... Rob got me to shoot the Omen that has it as well. And he says, now you're not going to shoot, you're going to try this. All right? So I'll get to that when I get to the Omen.
Okay.
So that's the Unite. I want to say this bow is coming in the $1,100 range.
That seems like what I remember seeing it on the website. These bows are already on the webpage.
They are out on the webpage. They are ready to go. They'll be delivering soon. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they were unveiled Wednesday.
Right.
So stay tuned. Check with your pro shop, see when they're due in. But they should be. I didn't hear any issues on bows of no parts, no shortage.
None of this stuff that COVID was causing the last couple of years.
Right. I don't think they've had any COVID shutdowns out in Arizona. So I think everything is ramped up, running. Talking to Cade, he is just swamped. So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Right?
Mark, did you get a chance to shoot the bows?
I did not.
Okay.
No, but I did take some cool videos of Danny doing it.
Derek Vaughn just chimed in. He says he has an order ready to go this week on the new ones. Pretty much an aluminum version of the Levitate, which features including the new .220 shims, 0.12, a 0.1, a 0.14, a 0.08, a 0.160, and a 0.06 are the three shim options.
Right, and that's why we like having...
The way I read them in order is two shims.
And that's like how, having Derek over at Sunrise, that's the guy we go, depend on to do this. And I think his job's going to get a little easier with this shimming a cam.
Yeah, be able to take it and turn them around real quick. And actually get them back out there on the range to see where you're at on the paper.
Right, exactly. So for you Knock On Nation faithful out there, you can get it in your Dudley green. It comes in various other colors as well. So like I said, get to your pro shop if you want to shoot one and try it.
Okay, now what we got next?
The
Fortis?
Let's go to the Fortis, right? Let me bring that bad boy up. So the Fortis, I don't think Derek was at ATA. I think he was out doing some other stuff. But the Fortis, this is a new aluminum. Now they've got a thinner grip on it. Again, they've got the Picatinny sight rail. You can see here in the picture on the front of the bow. Again, it's drilled for if you're going to have a hamski or a QAD rest. This comes in the three cams, the E2, EC2, and the S2.
Are those features the rest, the pre-drilled rest feature along with the Picatinny rail system for the sights? Is that going to be on all their pro line bows or just a select few? Do you know?
As far as I know, it's on the new bows.
Okay.
So I get a feeling once they start something like that, it's probably going to continue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The new rest, the hand is it's not narrow, but it's thinner. It's really good in the hand. Again, this has the full draw stability. It also comes with the Easy 220 spacer system.
There you go.
And it comes in a multitude of colors. Pick your color anywhere from black, charcoal, green, Kuyu Verde, Optifade, Tan, Mossy Oak, First Light Fusion. So
plenty of options.
Plenty of options, and they shoot the 30s shoot anywhere from 345 to 335, 335 to 345, and 334 to 340 for the 33.
Okay.
Plenty fast.
Yep.
Right? So axle to axle, they've got the 30 and the 33.
And you shot this bow?
I shot this bow.
And?
This was lights out.
Okay.
Not going to lie. This one, with this new full draw stability system, Rob brought me over to shoot the Omen. And he goes, well, it's got this new... He explained the full draw system to me. He says, you're going to pull back, but don't shoot. He goes, now try to torque the bow. And every time I tried to introduce a little torque, it just kind of brought it back. When I was at draw, it just brought it back. I'm like, wow. And literally, I think it was this Fortis that I had that actually had a stabilizer on it. So it was more like a setup,
right,
as opposed to a bare bow. It was really nice and comfortable to shoot. And it just... No shock, no. It just was in your hand, and you tried to introduce a little torque, and it'd come right back. And I held the bow for quite a long time, and I was shooting what I shoot: 60 pounds, 27-inch draw,
90% let off.
90% let off.
Okay.
He says you're gonna shoot what you're gonna shoot.
Yeah.
And I try it. It was just one of those. It was really nice.
So I gotta imagine, if you're in in a tree stand, and you get into one of them positions where you're twisted back, and you got a shot at an animal. And you kind of twist and torque your body, and you're trying to line everything up, it's going to bring it right back to plumb. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
It brings the bow right back to plumb.
You just see it come right back, and you're like...
And the bow's doing that.
Okay. Yeah, however, the setup, and they engineered it, is that it's working. And obviously, we can either talk to Derek, have him go through it in depth, or we'll get Rob on the show again, and he can go through it in depth. But for me, just shooting it for that one time...
pretty slick.
It was pretty slick. And, again, when I'm shooting a bow, there's always a peanut gallery.
What'd you do to him, Mark?
I tried not to do anything other than when they asked him his draw length, and I said 14. Someone argued maybe 12.
Yeah.
So Mark stepped right up and took Bobby Vargas's place
if it wasn't,
of hammering you at ATA.
Wasn't Bobby Vargas, it was Dan wasn't around, so Dan couldn't get me. But of course, Mark filled in. He jumped right in there, gave me a short draw length. Luckily, unfortunately, that girl dropped the computer, which deflected any conversation to her from me, so that was good.
Mark, thanks. Thanks for doing what I asked you to do.
And the camera angle, I tried to raise the camera up really high when I took the video.
Yeah.
Because if I held it down kind of at level, it almost looked like Danny was shooting uphill, even though the target was straight on. It was just a visual thing. Yeah.
I got you.
I got you.
I tell you what.
I'll tell you what. We had some fun. We are not going to lie. We had some fun, and I shot the bows on Friday because I said I'll come back to shoot them. I talked with Kate on Thursday about the Fortis. Friday was the Unite with Rob. And again, from there, we shot that bow. I'll save the Omen here for a little bit in a little while. But from there, we headed off, and we went and visited Robbie at Antler King. Oh, Lord, here it comes.
Derek's, and he knows you too well because that's where we get our stuff set up. He says, come on, he's 30-inch draw because that's when he draws it twice. So not 14, that'd be 28.
Right? I tell you, you guys.
But anyway, he did a good job. He wore his Sunrise Archery hat most of the time.
I did see that in a couple pictures.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was representing, you got to because it fitted, wasn't for the pro shops that are left. I thought that was another issue, too. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know, and I don't know if we could find out, but I wonder how many of the little mom-and-pop shops are gone.
That's a good question, especially since COVID, and this being the first full year it's been opened back up.
Right.
We've seen a lot of mom and pop shops get hammered here. No matter what the business is, because of the pandemic going around. So
right. So we left there. I shot those. We talked about the Fortis. We talked about Unite. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Omen here. Can't give it all away, right?
Well, we're up against the break, so you want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah. Let's take a break.
All right. We'll step outside, take our next break. We'll come back. We'll continue the conversation.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System. featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We've covered 2 bows. We got the opening day that y'all got there. So where do you want to go next?
Yeah, let's take a little walk, Mark. What did you think about we started from the PSE booth. We headed out on the one side. First off, we came up with our game plan to walk the floor, and then we would double back as necessary.
Okay, giving them the lay of the land?
Yep, exactly. Okay. So what did you think, Mark, as we started seeing booth after booth of archery gadget after archery gadget?
I never realized how much stuff is out there for the archery environment. I mean, my goodness, I've not been to too many places that have the sheer number of things, everything under the sun. And most of it was archery related, but it was hunting. It was helping you be a better hunter. And I don't know. We stopped at one place. It was the Garmin watches, and I was like blown away by the technology that they have now just in a watch. But then we stopped, and I honestly never seen that many different bows in my life. Just every stand you went to, it seemed like there was a bow, arrows, bolts, broadheads, just fletching. If you want to be a specialist in something, you could find your niche by going and just walking that trade show. It was just every corner. I'd round a corner and be like, what's down here? And you'd try to look at both sides of the aisle, and just crazy how much stuff is out there. It's crazy.
Well, you think just about the manufacturers of just the bows themselves. Your typical pro shop have 3, 4, 5 companies they deal with. They don't carry them all. Depending on what shop you go to, there's the selections you got. And if they don't have something there that you like, then you've got to go and drive further away to get to somewhere else to find, maybe a brand that you're loyal to. So walking the floor, just looking back real quick, what's the one item that's like, wow, that's cool, that really caught your eye, that's like, that really intrigues me, or that might be something that I might have to have?
Oh, wow. Narrowing it down, that's pretty tough, because just about around every corner I found something I just was like, I didn't know they did that. I didn't know you could do that. There's the hard-sided bow cases caught my eye. There was one you could put 4 bows in and all your accessories. Went down another aisle, and I'm a big fan of rubber boots, and the Lacrosse was there with their boots and Danners, and they had the whole display of every style out there. And you could touch and feel and figure out what it was that you had versus what's new on the market. The low down high speed viewer to help you with your trail cam cards, that was there. And then just to see the sheer number of deer stands and blinds, both on the ground blinds and the elevated blinds, and just be able to walk and get inside of one, touch and feel, tug on it, feel the texture of it. And then some of the new products, like there was like 3 or 4 different electric bike businesses, companies there. But there was one that was a 4-wheel. Basically, it looked like a 4-wheel all-terrain bike that had a large platform you could stand on. And the suspension on that was just crazy, how much movement you could tolerate with that thing. It was by the Radix blinds. Just, I don't know, mind blown. All the different things that you could see. Just crazy.
It is. It's really crazy, but it's kind of neat because you're one of the very few that get to see that upfront stuff, right?
Yeah.
And, we stopped off. We spent some time with Antler King. We'll be having Robbie on the show here probably another month or so. We're going to talk about spring. You know what that means, planting season, right?
That's right.
So, but there was one thing that caught our eye while we were at the Antler King booth was across the aisle was the Bear. And Bear Archery, Bear whatever, Industries, whatever their full name is. And this caught our eye. Now, we're standing there talking, and also we look across the aisle, and we read this.
Okay.
Fred Bear
Camp.
Camo.
Oh, Camo.
Yeah, it's an O.
Okay.
So we're like, Fred Bear Camo. We're like, so you read it says old school design meets modern technology.
So they're coming out with a line of camo?
So we have no idea.
It left it up. Everybody's questioning.
We walked around this. It was a pad of 4 different corners. We saw nothing. So we don't know if it's a play on the traditional flannel.
The flannel that you can see there.
Of Fred Bear, or what. But it's one of those things that we saw at the show that made us go,
Okay.
So, to this day, we still don't know, right, Mark?
We even kind of went as far as to say, did you see the camo? That's how good it is. Because it wasn't there, and that's what camo was supposed to do for you. But it was kind of cool.
We had some fun. And like Mark said, low down, high speed viewer was there. Mark has one of these, actually. He won it in a raffle, and he's gotten to know these gentlemen, and we got to spend some time with there. We did a live drop from there, and you can see they had him doing some work for them already. Help him take a picture. That is Raised Outdoors, who's taking their picture with him.
Okay.
And they're really heavily into Denise's Raised at Full Draw camps, right?
Gotcha.
So we got to talk with them a little bit. Mark was their photographer, so I had to take a picture of Mark working. But
proof of performance.
So the gentleman on the right, which is Adam, and Mark have competing beards. So we're going to have Adam on the show. Mark's going to join us, and it's going to be like Battle of the Beards when we have them on.
Do I have time to grow mine out a little bit?
You do have time when we get them on, but
how long have we got?
Probably about a month or two.
Yeah,
you'll be a little short, like me.
You better go to town and buy one,
right?
I'll get me a Santa Claus beard.
Right. So we're going to have Lowdown. We're going to have on the show a little company out of Wisconsin. Real interesting talking to them. Real neat viewer. If you want to be out in the field and see a viewer, instead of looking at your little screen on the camera, you just pop this.
On your camera. Gotcha.
You just pop this in, and they got their own program, their own everything. It's really pretty cool. So we're gonna have them on the show down the road, and like I said, it'll be Battle of the Beards when we get there. So get ready for that, and we'll talk with them. So
sounds good.
That was pretty cool. And then what else do I got?
As he's madly clicking through.
Yeah, you're hearing me click like a madman.
A lot of bow stuff.
Right. That's all the bow pictures. Blah, 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 blah. So, Lowdown was there. One big thing we heard was about arrows. They're having some supply problems getting arrows from overseas, getting them to come in within spec, getting to come in at all.
Is this one company or a couple companies?
According to talking, it's not just limited to one company.
Okay.
So I think it might be specific area where they're trying to get them from.
Gotcha.
I'm not 100% sure. So hopefully that doesn't get too bad or anything goes bad where we start running short of arrows, these people. Because, like my brother asked, does the bow tell you to use a specific arrow? Derek answered no, but you got to spine it correctly.
Got to have the correct spine. Yep.
Right. If you don't spine it correctly, then it's not gonna be an enjoyable shoot. So, Mark, what did you think? So Thursday we walked the floor a lot, and then Thursday night was the Badlands. So first thing we did besides PSE was go get our Badlands tickets. And I warned Mark. I said, "You're going to see people do things for a hat. It will
blow your mind.
Blow your mind." So
yeah,
you need to set back about 10, 15 rows because if you sit up front, you're going to get pummeled. You're probably going to get some beverages spilled on you. People climbing over top of you to get a hat. It's crazy.
Right. So there was a couple. Derek says there was a lot of chatter over some of the mobile saddle gear. Yes, there was a couple businesses besides Tethered there that had the saddle gear going.
That still intrigues me. It's something I'm seriously still thinking about. I need to spend a little more time and research into that and see what I really want to do.
Right. So after that, we went back to the hotel, and then, of course, we're like, okay, we got to get over to Badlands. So Mark drove us over there. We said we got to get there. It's open. The doors opened at 6:30. We got to get there by 6.
6, you got to get in line.
We got there at 10 to 6, and they were already in line.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, all right, get in line, which we did. And then it was kind of funny, and I warned him. I said, don't take a knife for nothing. You'll have to check it.
You won't get it back.
All right, and the cop got there early. He goes, I'm going to yell at you guys down here. He goes, if you guys got any knives, this or that, he goes, put them back in your car. And the guy's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, you're going to go through a metal detector. And everybody had their little eyes pop open and said, oh, man.
So you moved up in line?
So, no, we didn't do that. But So we went into Badlands, the 10th year Badlands. Mm-hmm. It was their 10-year anniversary, so they gave away a bunch of stuff. First 200 fans got a swag box and a 10-year T-shirt, right, Mark?
Yeah, and that's the thing, Danny. We drove up there, got in the parking lot, and saw the line, and we were just going to sit in the truck and wait because we knew the doors didn't open until 6:30, and we got there, 40 minutes early. But we saw the line and knew that if we wanted to get a chance at one of the swag boxes, we needed to get out and get in line. Now, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. It's starting to get dark. It's 29 degrees out, and the wind's blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour.
You sit in a tree stand worse weather than that. Come on now.
Right. To me, I was like, you know what, this is, I could sit in a tree stand in a T-shirt in this. And we got in line, and that was what a lot of people were complaining about was, I hope they open the doors early. This is crazy. But I started counting, kind of just a quick visual count of where we were at in line. I figured we were about 100 to 125 in line back from the door. Mm-hmm. So then when they open that door, everyone makes a mad rush to the lobby. And then it's the 4 metal detectors. So you got to empty your pockets and go through a metal detector, which kind of splits the line up again. And then everyone merges back together into this other lobby that has a really super long bar for refreshments on the right side. And at the end of that is where they had the table set up for the swag boxes and the T-shirts and the posters. And I was just still kind of figuring out where I'm supposed to go. And Danny, he's in his element. And we're like, oh, there's the line. So we swing over to the line. The lady's offering refreshments to us. And we get in line, and I'm like, yeah, based on where we're in the line, we're going to get a box. And there was a young kid that was right behind us, and he ended up getting one too because his biggest concern was, I'm not going to get one of those boxes. Later we saw him, and he got one, so he was excited. But, I mean, it was just as fast as you could get through that line. I was kind of looking ahead going, okay, what are they asking? First thing they're asking is what size shirt you want. So I'm like, okay, 2XL, I know what I need. And then it was grab a box, grab a poster, grab a clear plastic bag to put everything in. We found one of those conversation tables on a pedestal. We went over and put our stuff down, got it all organized. And then Danny kind of showed me where the bathrooms were and then led me into where we were actually going to sit in there for the show. And we go in the door, we start walking down towards the front, and the center section is just full. And I'm like, okay, so this is kind of where the madness is going to start. Mm-hmm. We get down towards the front, and on the right-hand side, there's just like a triangle of chairs there. It starts out with like 1 or 2 and gradually gets longer and longer rows. We probably sat at the 4th or 5th row back on the right-hand side. Just enough out of the way, but yet still close enough to see everything going on. And Danny, of course, being a veteran at this, he quickly went up front, put his little, at the end of your ticket, there's a stub you put your name on. So he quickly went up, put his name in the soft-sided cooler and grabbed a couple of 3 of the free giveaways that were laying up there on the table. I stayed back and watched the swag boxes, make sure they didn't walk off. And then when he came back, I went up and put my name in. And we took it all in. I mean, we were, 15 feet at the most from the stage. And there was electric bike, there was Grizzly chest coolers, a brand new camera system, Vortex optics, you name it. It was thousands of dollars worth of stuff being given away.
Well, I want to see what's in that box behind you. Isn't that's your hunt vault, isn't it?
They gave away at the end of the night to anybody a $7,000 package, Canon camera, all the lenses, a certificate to go to the school, mm-hmm. and everything. That was the grand prize. That was after the electric bike. That was after everything.
That's crazy,
right?
So he's digging through his little goodie box there.
Yeah. So this was kind of cool. So what have we got in that from Hunt Vault, right?
Right. So this is a Hunt Vault, one of their packages. I'm not sure which one it is. You can do the monthly subscription, and they'll send one to you every month. One of the things that came out of that was this ball cap. Really, really high quality ball cap, and fits my noggin pretty good. There's a Badlands beanie in here with the green and brown lettering that says Badlands on it. There is a 5% off coupon for Bedford Cameras, which is one of the sponsors of the show. A window decal that says, I don't know if you can see that or not, it says Hunt Vault on it. There was a 50% off of a Hunt Stand Pro Hunt Vault. So you can actually use this to start your monthly subscription to Hunt Vault and get your own stuff. Got a Badlands neck gaiter, which I always wear a neck gaiter when I'm out hunting in the fall time, just because if my neck gets cold, the hunt's going to be very short.
Says the man with a beard.
Right?
What else is in here? Looks like a Cyclops FX 1200 rechargeable flashlight. which is kind of nice to have. You just plug it back in on a USB port and charge it up. And probably the one thing that my wife was most excited about.
I knew it.
A razor?
yeah. Is this Grizzly cooler. And let's get that out. Take a look at that. It's got the screw up top. The great thing is that it stays attached so you don't drop it out of the deer stand if you're put, a hot beverage or a cold beverage in there. But that's a nice canister right there by Grizzly. So you get all of that. Plus we got the shirt back there for the 10-year anniversary of the Badlands Film Festival. All that was the swag. Plus a couple of posters. Just, I felt like Christmas to me.
Yeah, well, it's nice. It's nice to get stuff like that.
It was very nice of them to give out 200 of those boxes. Mm-hmm. And they gave away the premiere box, which was like double the size, as a couple of gifts. And then they threw some free hats into the crowd. And what happened, Mark?
People lost their minds.
Exactly what you warned me about. Grown men leaping over their chairs trying to get a hat. The floor was pretty sticky by the time we were done. But yeah, a free hat. And yes, they are nice hats because I'm pretty sure they were probably just like this. But I was glad we set off to the side. That was a good move on our part. I tried to get a photo of them jumping up, but of course in there it was kind of dark and everyone was moving, so it was just a big blur. I saw a few people I knew just coming out of their chairs, which were pretty reserved individuals, but they weren't reserved when it came to a free hat.
Yeah, you put a few adult beverages in somebody and you give away free stuff, people go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So. And
the hooting and hollering, I mean, it was crazy. I loved it.
So we did that. We saw 10 great, they were the long films this year only, so anywhere from 7 to 9 minute films. Then we voted. They had a winner. All top three were returning people that won or were in the show before. The one that won was really good. There was one in there about the hunt with the dad with the doe. That was tear jerking a little bit. But after that, it was 10:30 and almost 11 o'clock, and it was time to get back and get some shut-eye. We didn't do any late-night stuff. I heard from others the next day that they needed the place was Howl at the Moon.
Howl at the Moon, yeah, we've been there before.
Right?
Piano bar,
Yep, so that ended up Thursday night, and we were heading into Friday.
Yeah.
So if you want, we can go to a break, and we'll talk about our Friday.
Well, I was going to tell you real quick. I was thinking about you guys, the other day. I jumped online. I wanted to see if the new films were out yet on YouTube. They weren't, but I started watching the 2022 films.
Yeah.
And you're right, man. You watch some of them, man, you get a little misty-eyed on some of those. And you know what? That's the reason we do what we do, is because of, it draws the emotion up. So it makes you, it humbles you. I mean, hunting does, in more ways than one. It makes you just realize just how lucky we are to be able to do this. So
exactly.
All right, we're going to step outside, take our next break. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at PSEArchery.com.
All right, welcome back to the last segment of the show. Sounds like you guys had a really good time, but you know what? We're missing one thing here, guys. The bow that I think that I'm going to get this year.
Right, exactly.
So.
If you've shot PSE before, or maybe you shot one called the Omen, it was a really aggressive cam type, really quick on the valley, really short brace height, 5.5. So you just kind of go, okay, I know what the Omen shoots like. Well, they came out this year for 2023. We're calling it the Omen 2.0 because they've introduced giving the EC cam, E2 cam, and the S2 cam to the Omen.
Really?
Yes. They're leaving it, it's basically they're leaving it at 5.5, axle's 33 inches, but this is going to shoot a speed of 356.
356.
Right? So, with that being said, what did they do to it? Well, they put a new cam system on it. Mm-hmm. They got, so it's that pull through to get to the let off, way easier. There isn't that, that into the back wall.
Yep, where you just got to strain to keep it back.
Right. Nothing about it there.
And it does come with the high let-off cam, right?
It's got the S2 and the E2, yes.
The high let-off mod.
Yep. So it does have the full, what do they call this? The full draw stability system on it. And this is the one Rob said, you got to shoot this. So he took me over to the shooting lanes, and he said that we're going to set this up like you're going to shoot it like you would normally shoot your setup, not extra here, a little bit more poundage. He goes, nope.
So you shot it at 27-inch draw.
I shot a 27-inch draw at 60 pounds.
Okay, because I noticed on the stat sheet that we just had up, that's the lowest draw length that they have.
Well, according to Mark, it should go lower for me, but thank goodness they realized.
So 27, you shoot at what? That'd be 13. You shoot 13 and a half twice.
Right. Smarty pants. But he says, pull it back, don't shoot it.
Okay.
Pulling it back was smooth. I'm like, whoa. He says, now try to torque it. So I tried to put a little hand torque into it, and every time I did, it brought it back. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Did he give you any indication of what's going on in there with the mechanics of it?
You know, he said when it's at full draw, the strings and everything, he probably could have told me and I would have been right over my head. Mm-hmm. Literally, we got to get with him. We're going to go over these bows again. We're trying to go and work on that. But and then I shot it, and it was like dead in the hand. I'm like, and that came so close to the Fortis. To me, they're right there next to each other.
Neck and neck.
Neck and neck. Whether you shoot the new Omen or the Omen 2.0 or the Fortis, those bows are lights out. And obviously at 356 or whatever you might shoot it, it's pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty good. So that comes in various colors. They've upgraded a bunch of things on it as well. The system is on it. The new cams, the cable guard, again the Hamsky, the precision bus tuning system, the FDS. It has a new riser for the Omen, but they just added to it, put new cams on it, and it shoots 100% different than what did we say? Not your dad's Omen.
It's not your dad's Omen.
Yeah, it's not. It is not anymore. So again, if you're thinking about it, make sure you shoot this new Omen for 2023. It's totally different.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's nice. Won't lie. So that's what Mark. This is the other part of this show is I didn't see a lot of crossbows there. Now there was Killer Instincts right next door. But everybody has their products out. Hopefully towards the end of this year, PSE might have some new crossbows coming out. Stay tuned.
Was there anything there you expected to see and didn't that surprised you?
Mark, you answer that first.
There was a couple of vendors or booths that I expected to see there that I didn't. One would be trail cameras for Tacticam.
Mm-hmm.
They were not there, which surprised me. And I'd already knew beforehand that Easy Cut was not going to be there. So I'd already talked to Scott, and for whatever reason they weren't going to be able to make it. I was thinking there was a couple others that surprised us, Danny, that we thought we would see them there, but couldn't find them.
All right. Yeah, there was a couple bow Matthews wasn't there.
They're typically not there.
They
were the last year we were there.
They were there,
3 years
disappeared,
ago.
And came back. Now they disappeared again. Mossy Oak Realtree didn't have a booth.
Okay.
Neither, and usually they have a setup because they're huge sponsors. They're camos all over the industry, right?
Right.
They didn't have anything there. Like Billy said, Mag Pro bow mounts for cell phones made a big splash. There was a few different ones of those that were there. But yeah, it was one of those things. I was surprised Tacticam wasn't there. Did see Josh. Met up with him, found out what his gig is, where he's been. Got his card. We're going to connect him. But Garmin's there, had everything there.
Billy said the Tacticam stayed out west and did the sheep show in Vegas.
Oh,
gotcha.
okay.
Which, that makes sense.
Right. So, but other than that, man, it was, I was glad to be back. It felt good to be back. It was nice to see it. Could have been busier, yeah, but I don't know how much overall toll has been taken on the industry through COVID.
Okay. Did you see the company out of northern Wisconsin that we always met with that did the feathers?
No. Remember, Mark, I said I was looking for them.
Mm-hmm. What about Grayling Archery Products?
True
True Flight Feathers.
True Flight Feathers. I did not see them.
What about Grayling Archery?
I did not see them either.
Products.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Miss Preer, Mary Preer she used to work for Fred Bear, and her and her son actually, they took this some of the work that they had done there and had their own line, and we met them years ago.
Right?
Last time we were there, I didn't see them. You know, I know she was up there a little bit in years, so you know, who knows.
And also, Mark, how did you feel about the reception you were getting while walking around the show, maybe stopping at a booth or looking at something? How did you feel about that reception?
And that's the thing about this is I went into this with the experience I had of trade shows where every booth is trying to make sure you walk home with something in your pocket of there. But here it was different. The dynamic was so laid back. There was no pressure. You could stop and look at something, and if you had a question, you could ask. But it wasn't like you were going to be stormed by somebody that was just going to try to cram a product down your throat. The only one, I think, was there was one gentleman that threw a lip balm at us. I can't remember now. Set thief or something was tossing lip balms at people to get their attention. But for the most part, you could walk up and have just a genuine conversation with someone, no pressure, just, you know, how you doing? Where are you from? You talk a little bit about, you know, what you're doing here. You talk about what products they have. And it's just almost like a family type of environment. Everyone just kind of got along. Not that all families get along all the time, but it was just one of those things where you didn't meet a stranger. No matter where you went, if you stopped and asked questions, they were there to help. And there was no high pressure sales. It was nice to make that, I guess, you know, the first night kind of sealed the deal with connections. That's really what it was about, was making those connections.
Exactly. And Billy, Badlands Film Fest was awesome. It was a great night. You'll have to go back in the show. We went through it.
Billy came in late.
Yeah, he did come in late. Now, that's a new guy going to the ATA for the first time. Now,
what's your impression of, because
we've been through it all.
We've been through the good, the bad, the ugly, the COVID, the whole 9 yards. I was there the year Billy got COVID, is what he was talking about.
Right.
Shook hands with him and then found out he got COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't get it that year.
He was walking death. It had a different feel to it. It wasn't that us against them. It was more, they wanted to talk to you.
More inclusive?
Yeah.
Being that we had, well, not we, I didn't go, but the media badges.
I warned Mark. I said, you might run into this, you know, but we didn't.
They'll talk to you, look at your badge, and turn around and walk away while you're talking to them mid-sentence.
Right. Not this year. This year, it was, we were even asked why we couldn't come in the day before.
Right.
Told me couldn't. They're like, why?
Yeah. Because everybody there didn't want us there.
Well, obviously somebody with the right stripes made the call. But I felt going booth to booth, different booths, if you stopped and talked, they talked with you. If you were asking the right questions, they knew you were media, but that was also their venue to get you their
product
gadget out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right? So it had a good feel to it. It actually felt like, hey,
we're back,
and you guys aren't the bad guy.
Yeah,
we kind of need you now. Granted, but you still had the same crews going vendor to vendor with all their cameras and everything.
You still saw that.
They were setting up, so that was still going. I didn't run into anything hearing bad, like, oh, they're here. Actually, it drove more people to the show on Thursday than any of them.
Okay.
Because you have the added media. And like Mark, I told Mark, I said, you're going to see the pros out there, or the celebrities, and you're just going to see them walking by. And he saw Lee and Tiff. Who else did you see?
Big Man, Jess Junie, Pat Nicole Reeves, Hannah Barron. Yeah, I mean, Waddell was there, but I didn't get to see him. Nick Munt was there. There was several. I think there was almost a dozen TV personalities that were there in attendance at one point in time.
Mm-hmm. So, being the first time, did you get starstruck by any of your favorite hunting celebs?
Not really. I was, and I think a lot of it was because just the environment itself. It was very laid back. It was very relationship building, and it was like, I don't want to be the one that goes up and says, hey, can I get my photo with you? It was, I wanted to give them their space.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, we walked by people, TV personalities, elbow to elbow there. And you just, I looked over at Danny and said, that's so-and-so, right? And he's like, yeah. And they blended right in with the crowd. Like, like there was nothing wrong with that. There wasn't this big entourage following them around. Just normal people just showing up, doing what they do. And it was kind of nice. I took a few paparazzi pictures, you might say, from a distance. But I didn't stop anyone to say, "Hey, can I get my picture with you?" Maybe I should have, but
yeah, they, actually, as long as they weren't in the middle of something, they really don't care. That's the one thing about it. It's you can tell when they're busy and when they're not busy. So they're pretty amenable to that.
And he forgot one of the most important people.
Who's that?
Buck Medley.
You didn't get a photo with him?
No, but he saw him.
Okay, I saw a photo that he was there.
So.
Oh,
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him.
Now he came in the PSE booth.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He was everywhere. But there is one thing I think that Danny and I both had in common was at the end of the day, our feet were hurting.
Yep.
Then you there's did one. Right. I took a photo of Danny sitting out in the lobby area out there on a bench, on one of our breaks. Just sitting. You could just. I don't care what kind of shoes you wear, how comfortable they are. I had two pairs of socks on, and still that's a lot on the feet.
Yeah. Well, Billy said that he was a little bit starstruck by Byron Ferguson once. He sat down with him and gave him goosebumps. Sat down at lunch with him there. So I will say the one that got me was the first time I met and talked to Donnie Vincent. Because the cinematography that guy does is just incredible, and I've always followed his work. And the first time I was like, I don't know, man. I was just nervous.
To interview him, man.
Yeah,
he came right in the booth.
But then we got to interview him a couple years later, and that's probably him and Dudley and Pete Shepley. Those are probably the big highlights of me doing this. Of sitting down talking with them.
I think also interviewing Pigman.
That was wild.
Of course, you had the monster girls on each side, so that
was kind of wild. Yeah. So.
But, and we had Denny Steiner there. Just being in the presence of Denny Steiner for a whole evening was
right.
That kind of took my I guess that you talk about that starstruck and that fangirling. Spending the evening with Denny Steiner and then going and seeing all these other TV personalities. Yeah, I was broke in pretty good by then.
Oh, man.
Right. So after that, we broke free on Friday at about 11, 12 o'clock. I said, all right, I'm going to
call it a show.
I'm going to head back to Michigan because I had a 5-hour drive. And Mark stuck around for another couple hours just to enjoy, take it all in. Again, the weather, driving there was awesome. Driving home was awesome. The temperature was great.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate
that. It was really cool. Hey, big shout out to Ron Missig, Denise's brother. He's watching the show for the first time.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, welcome.
Did you happen to see Pedro de Amparo?
No.
He was not
He was not coming to the show.
Okay.
I asked Dan that, and he said no.
Okay.
He was
Yasa. We haven't talked about Dan Yasa.
We got there on Wednesday. I connected with Dan Wednesday night at the JW with Antler King. We sat. We had a few pops, talked. Brought me up to speed on the industry.
Okay.
He was good. He's doing really good. Saw him the next 2 days in the booth. But those guys, now that PSE is gone to a repping company, they are so busy because they got to go between 3-4 other companies to write orders.
Right.
So
they were moving, shaking.
Yeah, I would see Dan 1 minute, he's gone. Rob would come flying in, or I caught Rob on another aisle and said, hey, got to see you over at PSE. All right, give me 20 minutes.
Yeah.
45 minutes later, here you come,
Right.
Those guys were busy, but they had good shows.
Good deal. It's good to see the archery industry hopefully picking back up and starting to take off again. COVID did a number on it seemed like, and let's hope the good thing that comes out of COVID is the fact that we had people that had plenty of time to take up archery, whether it be target or hunting, and now have gotten acclimated to it and love it, and now they're wanting new gear. That's the hope that comes out of this, I guess.
Right, exactly. So, Mark, I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed it.
I actually walked away a winner. I didn't tell you there at the very end. After you left, I did put in for the drawing at the very end of the day. And I was the lucky winner of a React Pro 5-pin bow sight.
Nice.
From Trophy Ridge. Yeah. So, I was already feeling like a winner by being there, but then to pick that up on my way out, that was pretty nice.
So you got the bow set up yet?
Not yet. No.
Got to do your homework. There you go. That's the next step.
And like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. Next year's show, St. Louis. It's going to be interesting. I think it's an 8-hour drive for us.
Yeah, we're driving. I'm not flying. I'm not going to fly unless it's out west.
It is. It's out west.
No, you know what I mean. No.
Is it not out west, Mark? Am I missing something?
If it's within 12 hours, I'm driving.
It's west of me 4 hours.
There you go.
Put it this way: there's a 17-hour drive to Gulf Shores from here, and I'm driving to Gulf Shores.
Well, you drive to Gulf Shores. If I can get a cheaper price to fly, pick me up at the airport.
You won't. It's cheaper to drive than it is to fly.
Donise found it was cheaper to fly. That's why she did it.
Well, maybe at that point in time, but
right. If you're doing your homework, more to come on that, folks. This will be the first time that it's ever not in Indy, Louisville, or Columbus. Years ago. So stay tuned. That's next year. I think it's the second weekend in January, as usual. And we'll see if we get out there. We got some things to talk about for the year, and we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get out to St. Louis for a few days.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us next week. What do we got?
Next week, we have Adam Wynn, who was up ice fishing. If anybody's following Up North Journal Fishing, you notice he did some catching.
Yeah, they were slaying them up there.
Right.
Had some nice fish on the ice.
Right now, we have Adam slated to be on. If we have another chance to get somebody else on, we might kind of do a dual show, half and half, if we have to. But we
got a couple coming up here in the near future too.
We got February. That'll be that's the last of January already. February 1st, we're gonna have Lance Valentine on, ultimate walleye fishing guy. You ever followed him? We're gonna have him on. We're gonna have. I'm trying to get Lowdown on. We're gonna have collegiate bass fishermen. The team from Central Michigan and Western Michigan on the second week.
On the same time?
On the same time.
Are they gonna throw stuff at each other?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be, they're going to be throwing fishing lures at each other or something, right?
Good deal.
Or you know what? We could have them fence with fishing rods.
There you go.
But we're going to have them on. We're going to get their story. Great story. Totally self-funded out of the college. They got to do everything. They're doing bottle drives to raise money.
That's awesome.
So
hitting it hard, doing what they love.
Yep. And then, obviously, like I said, we're going to get Antler King on. And then we're going to start to get some others on, and we'll see where it goes.
Roll through the spring.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. We ran just a little bit long, but we appreciate y'all hanging on and staying with us here for the ATA 2023 wrap-up for the boys here. So good job for both of you guys down there. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mark. For those of you who are listening, give us a like, follow, share the show for us as well. YouTube Wednesday.
YouTube by the weekend should have it out there. Anybody in southern Michigan, up in the Fenton area, if you need something worked on your boat, get over to Sunrise Archery. Go see Derek over there. Great shop, very knowledgeable. Obviously, you've seen us there. He works on our bows. So get over there. It's never too early, too late in the year to work on your bow.
I know there's still a little bit of, there might be some lake duck season, waterfowl season stuff going on, no matter if you're here in the Great Lakes area or if you're maybe out west. Troublesome Creek Taxidermy right here. We got a special discount code. If you get on our website, you can get a hold of that. That'll save you some money. Give him a look. And he does great work, as you can see right here. So other than that, make sure you give all of our supporters a little bit of love. Go over to their websites, give them a like, follow, share as well. For those of you listening on the podcast, make sure you go over to iTunes and give us a review over there. That helps people who support us as well. So that's going to do it for us this week. We'll see y'all again next Wednesday night, same time, 7:30, right here on Up North Journal. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Hacker Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better Than Hunt Technology.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.